We've approached the end of a decade and we've seen how the start of the 1980s started off really slow for movies. Then boom, in the mid 1980s, all those great movies that are classics today. So what happens at the end of the 1980s? Does it continue to be strong for movies? Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Carl. Today's video is Back to the Movies 1989. This is a series I started where I talk about my top 5 movies for each individual year, starting with the year 1980, going right the way through those years, right up to the present year. Also, what was making the headlines back in that particular year as well, and what was the #1 toy for that particular year as well. I have now completed a decade. It's 1989. I started in 1980 and I've gone right the way through the 80s with my top 5 movies. Now, because I'm at the end of the decade, the hairstyle changes, which means I haven't got to grow my hair like this anymore. Please do get involved in the comments. I would love to know for this video, what are your top 3 movies for the year 1989. Thank you. The year is 1989, and on the 24th of January, America's infamous serial killer Ted Bundy is put to death by the electric chair in the state of Florida. Bundy's execution sees a national celebration across the USA. And on the 15th of April, 94 football fans sadly lost their lives at Sheffield Wednesday's football ground, Hillsborough, when Liverpool played Nottingham Forest in the FA Cup. I remember that so well because I was at a football match myself, Wimbledon versus Tottenham Hotspur, and I think my mum may have thought I might have been at that game. And on the 9th of November, the Berlin Wall falls for the first time in decades. East Germany opens up checkpoints to allow their citizens to travel freely into West Germany. It was so nice to see. Now, I've covered a whole complete decade of the 80s news-wise, where I've picked out my top 3 stories for that particular year. And when I've been going through each month of the news, I did actually notice there was a hell of a lot of plane and railway crashes in the 80s. Thankfully, we don't see too much of that today. So what was the #1 toy for 1989? Well, it was handheld. Any ideas? It was Nintendo's The Game Boy. So the big question is, did the end of the 1980s finish strongly for movies? The answer is definitely yes. There were so many top movies in 1989. I did actually struggle slightly, not too much, but slightly, for my top 5 list. I do have 3 honourable mentions. These are movies that were good, but not good enough to make my top 5 list. The first one, you'll be surprised, is the second biggest grossing movie in 1989. It's a movie that I feel has got better with age. It stars Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. It stars Sean Connery as Mr. Jones Sr. And I'm talking Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Didn't make my top 5 list, unfortunately. My second honourable mention is a movie I didn't actually know, if I'm honest, to include it in my honourable mentions, but I've decided to because I know it is a very popular movie with you guys out there, and the movie is Pet Sematary. My third and final honourable mention for the year 1989, I've decided to go with When Harry Met Sally. No, not because of that particular scene with Meg Ryan. This movie stars Billy Crystal, Meg Ryan, and after doing a little bit of research on this movie, I didn't actually know that the late Carrie Fisher was in this movie as well, and I'm a big fan of Carrie Fisher's. Okay, on to the top 5 best movies for the year 1989. Obviously, this is my personal opinion, so it doesn't necessarily mean that these movies are actually the best movies in 1989. Coming in at number 5, Roadhouse. And the story sees the late Patrick Swayze play a tough bouncer called John Dalton, who is hired to clean up a rundown bar.
Patrick Swayze is
Dalton.
I thought you'd be bigger.
Opinions vary.
When he's around, anything can happen.
How does a guy like you end up a bouncer?
Just lucky, I guess.
And usually does.
If somebody gets in your face, I want you to be nice.
Don't be rude.
Ask him to walk, but be nice.
Help this gentleman to the door.
Until it's time to not be nice.
So says the fighting philosopher.
He may be hard to handle.
I keep talking, you're gonna go off thinking I'm a nice guy.
I know you're not a nice guy.
But he's easy to like.
What's the matter, Dalton? Don't you like women?
Worst I ever had was wonderful.
He's not what you'd expect.
I thought you'd be bigger.
Number 4, it's the biggest grossing movie in 1989, and the movie is called Batman. For me personally, this is the best Batman. Michael Keaton is Batman, and Jack Nicholson plays a brilliant Joker. I find that the Batman movies these days are just too dark. Sure, back in 1989, the special effects weren't that good, but this is the closest movie Batman we will get to the series, I feel, in my personal opinion. So number 4 is Batman.
Nice outfit.
You look fine.
I didn't ask. I have given a name to my pain.
What are you?
I'm Batman.
Where does he get those wonderful toys?
My life is really complex.
Winged freak terrorizes. Wait till they get a load of me.
Number 3, a movie directed by David Worth. Now, I have done a top 10 best movies for this guy. It stars Jean-Claude Van Damme, Kickboxer.
Now that you've beaten everyone there is to beat, what's next?
Take on the world's best. Show him who's boss.
How do you feel about fighting our champ, Pom Pom?
Piece of cake.
He never fought this style before. It's so different.
Hey, punch is a punch, kick's a kick. We came to fight.
Eric, don't do it. I saw the look in his eyes. This guy is crazy.
How many times do I have to tell you? Power kicks.
This guy was kicking one of these with his fucking legs.
There's nothing more I can do. Your brother is paralyzed.
Just tell me where he is.
God damn it, no!
I want him. I want Tom Poe. I want to fight him.
The only way you'll find him is inside the ring, and you are not good enough! And if I can't stop you, I might know somebody who'll train you. There's only one person crazy enough to put you in a ring with a Tom Poe.
So many great memories of that movie. I remember going to the video shop and renting that movie out with my parents. I think I may have actually chose that. I remember the big posters in the window advertising that movie as well. Going home, sitting on the sofa, watching that with my parents, being fired up in those fight scenes. Just so many good memories. It's got a good story as well. Definitely worth the watch if you can. So number 3 on my list is Kickboxer. Interesting. The next two movies, the final two movies, number 2 spot, number 1 spot, are both sequels to big movies. Any ideas? Number 2, Back to the Future Part 2. Michael J. Fox is back as Marty McFly, and the story follows Marty and Doc, and they travel to the year 2015. Well, how things look different in 2015 in the movie compared to what it actually did in 2015 in real life, with the hoverboards and the flying cars, that sort of thing. But Marty must repeat his trip to 1955 to prevent drastic changes to the year 1985 without interfering with his first trip. So number 2 is Back to the Future Part 2.
What do you mean we're in the future?
October 21st, 2015.
Marty, we're going to be able to see our wedding.
Wow. The future. I gotta check this out, Doc.
Look what happened to your son.
Oh, he's a complete wimp.
Don't talk to anyone.
You've been looking, Bob! Hey, look!
Don't touch anything.
I need to borrow your hoverboard.
Number 1, my first choice movie for the year 1989. It is another sequel to a big blockbuster movie. How this didn't get biggest grossing movie in 1989, I don't know. I saw this one at the cinema. Ghostbusters 2. The story follows our Ghostbusters. Now they're struggling to make ends meet. They've got no work until they discover a river of pink slime running underneath the city, full of negativity. And it's not long before everybody starts experiencing supernatural activity. Could this all be linked to a certain painting? Who knows? But one thing's for sure, the Ghostbusters are back in business.
The dead will rise.
The Titanic just arrived.
Better late than never.
The demons will wake. Evil will flow.
Slime! It's a river of slime!
It's like pure concentrated evil.
Evil?
Treating other people like dirt is every New Yorker's God-given right.
And that was my top 5 movies for the year 1989. I have so enjoyed finishing this decade in the year 1980s. On to the 90s next, and this hair will be gone. Can't wait for the 90s. Please do get involved in the comments. I would love to know for this video, what are your own top 3 movies for the year 1989? Please do put it in the comments. I would love to know your top 3 choices. If you would like to watch any of my top 5 movies for each year in the 80s, they are in my playlist under Back to the Movies. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you like this video, please do give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. Who remembers these back in the 80s? The old sweatbands. I remember them so well. Take care, guys. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.